interest. Republicans were accused in 1988 of being obtuse and deliberately provocative by running someone for vice president named J. Danforth Quayle. The pretentious liberal bore Calvin Trillin wrote an article in New York Newsday sneering at the idiocy of the Bush campaign for not having thought to ask Dan what DAN stands for. If they had, he wrote, they might have discovered that a political party with a serious need to blunt the privilege issue was considering for vice president someone named J. Danforth Quayle, the name of a rich and pompous banker in old Donald Duck comics. In fact, there is no J. Danforth Quayle in any of the Disney movies, not even among the lesser-known supporting ducks. But Trillin didn't want to let the facts get in the way of comparing Quayle to a duck. The rest of the article heaps venom on Republicans for being so stupid, so provocative to nominate someone with a middle name Danforth. Who is this guy Trillin? Is he a shuttle victim? Poor black sharecropper? Because as I recall, Calvin Trillin is a Yale man. Only someone with the name Calvin Marshall Trillin, who is a liberal, would feel like he's in a position to make fun of someone else's name for sounding like a rich banker. And by the way, on Trillin's theory, William Jefferson Clinton should have had a mistress who was a black woman, but we know how wrong that was. She was Jewish. Speaking of middle names that reinforce negative impressions of a political party, doesn't the middle name Hussein in a Democrat reinforce the impression of the Democrats being soft on Islamic terrorism? Why, yes, Ann, I think it does. When Republicans run a candidate with a middle name that's funny to Democrats, Republicans are being offensive. When Democrats run a candidate with a middle name that's funny, hilarious to Republicans. No, it's a hate crime to mention it. At least when Republicans called Obama Hussein, we were laughing. They spat out Danforth as if it was, it preconceived the horrors Dan Quayle would visit on this nation as vice president. Like that time he hit a double bogey on the 10th hole of Augusta. The important point is, either way, liberals are the victims. They're either victims of the middle name Danforth, which offends them, or they're victims of Republicans finding the middle name Hussein hilarious. He who is offended first wins in America, and liberals are always offended. They are the masters of finger-waving indignation. The U.S. Marines' unofficial motto is first to fight. The liberals' unofficial motto is first to be offended. The media has gone from being offended at Bush for, I don't know, keeping the nation safe from terrorism. Offended at George Bush for breathing. To being offended by the teeniest, tiniest criticism of their new president, Barack Obama. Overnight, the media went from being watchdogs for the people to guard dogs for the government. That's with the exception of Chris Matthews and Keith Olbermann, who are lapdogs of the government. Time magazine got the ball rolling by comparing Obama to Jesus Christ. So I lost a bet. They do know who Jesus Christ is. As the leader of 12 apostles, even Jesus had more executive experience than Obama did. They really did compare Obama to Jesus, marking the first time the mainstream media was not worried about offending Muslims. So they like carpenters, it's just plumbers they hate. The Jesus comparison was in a Time magazine cover story written by Nancy Gibbs, and keep in mind this was a Time magazine hatchet piece on Obama. The article began, "Some princes are born in palaces, some are born in mangers, but a few are born in the imagination, out of scraps of history and hope." Translation, Democrats won an election. Congratulations, Democrats. Of course, Democrats winning any election, like the virgin birth, is something of a miracle. Having pulled off their rather mediocre 53% to 46% election, liberals can't stop boasting about their new baby boy. On Thursday, Obama took his first step, and on Friday, he appointed Rahm Emanuel, White House Chief of Staff. Isn't he adorable? This morning during bath time, I could have sworn he used his first word, entitlement. And yes, we got it on video. See, that Rahm Emanuel thing proves right there that Obama isn't Jesus. Would the baby Jesus have had a play date with Damien? The gushing parents' theme for the last few months has been that Obama is the incarnate spirit of Abraham Lincoln. So that's the end of Obama's honeymoon with the press. Now he's not Jesus, he's just Lincoln. I forget, how many times did Lincoln vote present? Because back in Illinois, Obama voted present more than 100 times. The only time he wasn't present was when Reverend Jeremiah Wright was giving one of those hate-filled speeches. And did Lincoln do blow mostly in high school, or did he wait until college? If the press really thinks Obama is Lincoln, they ought to treat him the way they treated George Bush, because that's how they treated Lincoln. Lincoln's critics compared him to an ape. They called him an illiterate baboon. If only Al Sharpton had been around, he could have told Lincoln he was the victim of racism. Our fiercely independent media has already produced dozens and dozens of articles comparing Obama to Lincoln. Why, back in Illinois, they're still talking about the fist bump Lincoln and Mary Todd shared the night he wrapped up the nomination. It was a special night for Mary Todd. She was finally proud of her country. A Newsweek story on the Obama equals Lincoln theme explains two thin men from rude beginnings, relatively new to Washington, but wise to the world, bring the nation together to face a crisis. And yes, I think Lincoln was the first one to warn us of the crisis of global warming. Wait until these august members of the press find out that Obama's now sleeping through the night without wetting himself. The one thing every liberal on TV seems to know about Lincoln is that he put rivals on his cabinet. I'm not sure reaching out to the Clintons and buying their entire cabinet at fire sale prices constitutes reaching out to rivals. I guess it has a nicer ring to it than reaching out to backstabbing also rams. To be fair, Obama is the person most likely now to have his coffee poisoned by Hillary. That's only because Bill stopped eating and drinking around Hillary years ago. Even what was supposed to be so wonderfully new about Obama, his desire for hope and change and bringing people together is more of just the same old political cliches. What people said about Obama was, it's fresh, it's new, but is it substantive? I say, but is it new? I've been hearing that same speech about hope and change and bringing people together since I was 9 years old. Who has run for president on a platform of despair, the status quo, and driving people apart?
Lincoln! Lincoln!
Besides Romney. The big mantra of the Obama campaign was change. Here are a few campaign quotes you might recall. I think that the hunger for change in this country is so great that people want something new. People are going to vote for change. I think we will win this election if we talk about bringing real change to America. There's enough people in this country who want change. The primary issue in the campaign was the economy and the desire for change. Those are not quotes from the Obama campaign.